chosen ones, hear this. You did not arrive here by accident. At this very moment, something beyond human understanding is unfolding in your life. It is no coincidence that you are here reading these words. The hand of God has guided you to this divine appointment. For today marks the beginning of a transformation so profound that it will alter the very course of your destiny. For too long, you have walked the path of longing, praying, hoping, waiting for the promises that have been deeply etched into your spirit. You have sensed it, haven't you? That undeniable pull towards something greater, that quiet yet persistent voice reminding you that you were made for more. You have carried visions of a future that, though unseen, have always felt destined to be yours. And now, the waiting is over. The doors of divine fulfillment are swinging open, and the shift from wanting to having has already begun. But this moment requires spiritual awareness, for not everyone will recognize it. Many will overlook the signs. Some will dismiss the calling and walk away before the revelation is complete. But you, one of God's chosen, can feel it stirring within your soul. Your spirit knows that this message is meant for you. The alignment is happening, the breakthrough is near, and your life is on the brink of a transformation that only God could orchestrate. If you feel this shift, if something within you is awakening to this truth, do not let it pass you by. Type 777 in the comments below as a declaration of faith. Let it be a sign that you are stepping into your divine inheritance, claiming the blessings that have already been set in motion for you. Let it be a statement that you trust in God's perfect timing, that you are ready to move beyond limitation and into the fullness of what has been prepared for you. To those who have already shown support through super thanks, know that your kindness is deeply appreciated. Your generosity is not unnoticed, and may the Lord return to you blessings pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Your giving is a reflection of the overflow that God is releasing, and I pray that He multiplies your seed and fulfills the desires of your heart. Now, prepare yourself. What you are about to discover holds the key to unlocking the powerful transition from longing to receiving, from hoping to possessing. This is not just another message, it is a divine revelation meant to shift your perspective, elevate your faith, and usher you into the abundance that was always yours. Are you ready to step into this new reality? Are you prepared to walk in the fullness of what has been promised? If your spirit says yes, then take this moment seriously, for the shift has already begun. Let's move forward together and embrace this life-changing revelation. God's chosen ones, from wanting to having, the powerful secret you must know. God's chosen ones, have you ever wondered why your heart aches with such deep desires? It's not just a fleeting thought or a momentary wish. It is a divine calling, a sacred force planted within you by God Himself. Desire is not random. It is a powerful divine energy that pulls you toward your higher purpose. Have you felt it? That undeniable knowing that your life was meant for something greater. The longing in your heart is not a sign of lack. It is a divine invitation, a calling to step into your destiny. But here's the truth. Too many of us misunderstand desire. We think it's a sign of weakness, frustration, or impatience, something to be overcome. We feel as if our prayers are unheard, our dreams too far to reach. Does this sound familiar? Have you found yourself in the space between where you are and where you desire to be, always reaching but never fully arriving? What if I told you that your desire is not a burden, but a divine spark placed within you to align you with God's plan? What if your longing is not a sign of something missing, but an invitation to step into the fullness of your purpose? Consider this. When you desire love, financial freedom, peace, or success, these are not selfish wants. They are reflections of a divine blueprint already written for your life. What if your yearning for love is not just a desire to feel complete, but a call to embody God's love on earth. Or maybe your longing for financial freedom is not rooted in greed, but in the desire to be a blessing to others, to provide, give, and serve without limitations. Perhaps your desire for success is not about glorifying yourself, but about impacting the world, building something that will last beyond your lifetime. Here's where many get stuck. They fall into the cycle of wanting without receiving. They pray, but their prayers are filled with hesitation, doubt, and fear. They say, maybe one day, or I hope this happens, but deep down they don't believe it's already theirs. Do you recognize this pattern? Do you catch yourself saying, this isn't mine yet, and by doing so you're keeping your blessings at arm's length? Let's look at a modern example. Oprah Winfrey. She grew up in poverty, facing immense challenges, but she always had a burning desire to help others. Her dream wasn't about personal gain, it was about empowerment. She desired to create a platform where people could heal, learn, and grow. And today, Oprah's legacy of giving and her success are a testament to how desire, fueled by faith, can manifest into something far greater than we ever imagine. But Oprah's story is not unique. Your story is no less significant. You too are called to something extraordinary. Can you feel the pull? This is the moment where everything changes. It is when you shift from, I hope it happens, to, I believe it is already mine. Will you make that shift today? Will you step into your divine inheritance, knowing that God has already answered your prayers? Now, take a moment and imagine that your prayers have already been answered. Can you feel the joy of already receiving the love, the freedom, the peace, and the success you've longed for? What if, starting today, you thanked God as if your desires were already fulfilled? What if, instead of longing, you stepped into the deep, unwavering certainty that what you desire is already on its way? This is your moment. This is the divine calling, an invitation to move from wanting to having, from longing to receiving. It's time to step into your purpose and embrace the abundant life God has already prepared for you. Are you ready to believe and receive? God's chosen ones, have you ever felt the constant yearning for something more, something greater, but no matter how hard you try, it feels just out of reach? The shift from wanting to having is not just a change in thought, it's a deep spiritual transformation that realigns you with your divine purpose. This shift is one that opens doors, breaks cycles of struggle, and draws blessings toward you with an undeniable force. Many people believe that receiving is about waiting for something to arrive, believing that it's just a matter of time before what they desire manifests. But in reality, receiving is an act of faith. It's about stepping into the energy of what is already yours, even before it materializes in the physical world. Can you imagine stepping into the fullness of your desires right now? What if you already have everything you need and all that's required is to step into that knowing? The real shift happens within you, not in the external world. For too long, people have been conditioned to think that their desires are separate from them, that they must work harder, wait longer, or prove their worth before they can receive. But this mindset is rooted in lack, and it keeps you in a cycle of longing. Every time you say, I want this or I need that, you unknowingly reinforce the belief that what you desire is still out of reach. This sends a powerful message, not just to your own mind, but to the universe itself, that you're living in a state of deficiency. Have you found yourself stuck in this pattern of wanting, believing that your desires are still far off? Here's the breakthrough truth. The moment you shift your mindset to one of having, everything changes. No longer are you affirming what's missing. You begin to live as if you already possess everything you desire. Instead of waiting for things to change, you act with a spirit of gratitude, as if your blessings have already arrived. Imagine for a moment that everything you've longed for is already in your life. Can you live in that energy right now? How do you make this shift? It starts with awareness. Every time you catch yourself thinking, "I wish I had this," or "I hope one day this happens," pause and reframe it. Instead, say, "I'm so grateful that this is already mine." Even if you can't physically see it yet, declare it as if it has already happened. This isn't about pretending, it's about aligning with a higher truth, the truth that your desires are already in motion, already being prepared, already making their way to you. Gratitude is one of the most powerful tools in this process. When you focus on what you already have, you send a message to the universe that you are abundant. You recognize the blessings around you, and in doing so, those blessings begin to multiply. Do you acknowledge the abundance already in your life? Jesus showed us the power of gratitude in Matthew 14:13-21, when he fed 5,000 people with 5 loaves and 2 fish. He didn't focus on what was missing. Instead, he gave thanks for what he had, and through that gratitude, a miracle unfolded. Could this same mindset of thankfulness be the key to unlocking your own miracles? Another key practice in shifting from wanting to having is visualization. Take time every day to see yourself already living in the reality you desire. Imagine yourself in the home you've prayed for. Feel the joy of the relationship you've longed for. Experience the peace of the financial abundance you seek. And most importantly, feel it as if it's happening now. Because when your emotions align with the reality of having, your subconscious mind begins to accept it as truth. And once your subconscious believes it, the universe must reflect that reality back to you. What would it feel like to already live in that reality? Can you see it and feel it now? But beyond thought and feeling, action is also required. This doesn't mean acting recklessly or spending money you don't have. It means embodying the energy of the person who has already received their blessing. How would you carry yourself if you already had the financial success you desire? How would you speak if the love you've prayed for was already in your life? How would you move through the world if you were already the person you dream of becoming? One real-life example is Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. Sarah started with just $5,000 and a vision. She wasn't born into wealth or success, but she believed in herself and acted as though success was already hers. She carried herself with the energy of someone who had already achieved her goals. And today, she is one of the world's youngest self-made female billionaires. Could her story be a reflection of how belief, coupled with action, can shift us from wanting to having? Begin to live in that energy now and watch how quickly your circumstances begin to shift. This mindset shift isn't about forcing things to happen. It's about allowing them to flow to you effortlessly. When you move from wanting to having, you no longer chase your desires. They are drawn to you because your energy aligns with their manifestation. This is the power of faith. This is the power of shifting into divine certainty. Now I leave you with this. If today were the day you fully believed that your desires were already on their way to you, how would you live differently? How would you think, feel, and act? The shift is already happening. The choice is yours to embrace it. Let me know in the comments. What mindset are you choosing to shift today? Chosen ones, as you continue to shift from wanting to having, it is time to embrace one of the most powerful yet challenging aspects of manifestation: divine timing. This is the phase that requires your deepest faith because it calls for something most people struggle with: letting go of control. We live in a world of instant gratification where everything is expected to happen immediately. We want what we want, and we want it now. But trusting divine timing is not about waiting passively for something to happen. It's not about hoping that one day things will align. No, it's about knowing with absolute certainty that everything is already set in motion, unfolding exactly as it should. Your desires, your prayers, and your dreams already exist in the spiritual realm. They are waiting for their perfect moment to manifest in your physical reality. Have you ever paused to think about that? How your desires are already in the works, waiting to unfold at the right moment. Here's where many get lost. We often feel anxious when we don't see immediate results. We begin to panic, questioning whether we did something wrong, or whether what we're hoping for is even meant for us. Have you ever felt this way? That sense of impatience that clouds your faith and makes you restless? But here's the truth. God's timing is not bound by human schedules. His plan is deliberate, purposeful, and flawless. In Ecclesiastes 3:1, we read, "To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven." The same God who set the sun and moon in their perfect rhythms, the same God who orchestrates the changing of the seasons, the same God who knows every hair on your head, He has not forgotten you. What you seek is not delayed, it is being perfectly positioned. Sometimes what feels like a delay is actually divine protection. Sometimes what seems like a waiting period is actually a season of preparation. Take, for example, the story of Joseph in the book of Genesis. Joseph was given a vision of greatness as a young man, a dream that one day he would rise to power and lead. Yet before that dream could be realized, he was sold into slavery, falsely accused, and imprisoned for years. From a human perspective, it seemed like a delay, like a series of misfortunes and unfairness. But in reality, God was positioning him. Every trial, every setback, and every painful experience was part of the grand design. When the time was right, Joseph wasn't just elevated, he was given dominion over an entire nation, ultimately saving countless lives. What if Joseph had doubted God's timing? What if he had given up when things didn't unfold as quickly as he expected? Could his impatience have kept him from stepping into the fullness of his destiny? Could it be that your own impatience is blocking the blessings that God has already set in motion for you? Could your doubt be creating unnecessary resistance in your path? The Word of God warns us in James 1:6-7, "But let him ask in faith with no doubting, for the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea that is driven and tossed by the wind. That person should not expect to receive anything from the Lord." Doubt creates instability. It shakes our foundation and causes unnecessary suffering. It makes us question what is already written for us. Can you imagine how much smoother your journey could be if you let go of doubt and trusted that God's timing is perfect? When you trust divine timing, when you stand firm in the belief that everything is already unfolding as it should, you begin to move differently. Instead of anxiously asking, "When will it happen?" you boldly declare, "It is already unfolding." Instead of frustration, you walk in peace. Instead of fear, you stand in unwavering faith. Let's take the example of J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series. Before her books became a global phenomenon, she faced multiple rejections from publishers. At one point, she was a single mother living on welfare, struggling to make ends meet. Yet, despite the setbacks and delays, Rowling never gave up on her dream. She continued to write, trusting that the right moment would come. When the time was right, her books were not only accepted by a publisher, but they became a worldwide success. Could her story reflect the power of trusting divine timing? Had she given up during the many rejections she faced, she would not have witnessed the success she now enjoys. The timing, though delayed, was exactly what she needed to achieve her dream. Chosen ones, can you trust that your dreams are being perfectly positioned? Can you believe that God has already set everything in motion for you? The moment you surrender to divine timing, you step into a new realm of peace and certainty. You begin to live in the knowing that everything is already unfolding in its perfect time. You begin to live not in frustration, but in faith. And when you do, your blessings will come at exactly the right time. Chosen ones, how do you embrace divine timing? It begins with understanding that delays are not denials, Just because something hasn't shown up yet doesn't mean it's not on its way. Often, what you desire is being refined, strengthened and perfected behind the scenes. Have you ever considered that God might be preparing you just as much as He is preparing the blessing? Sometimes the delay isn't about the thing itself, it's about your ability to receive it. A blessing given too soon can feel like a burden, but when it arrives at the right time, it fits seamlessly into your life. Take the example of Abraham and Sarah in Genesis 17. They were promised a child, yet they waited many years, and it seemed like the promise might never be fulfilled. But when the time was right, Isaac was born. If the child had come earlier, would they have been ready to fully embrace the blessing? Their delay was not a denial, but a divine preparation for the fullness of the promise. Can you see how God might be refining you while you wait for your blessings? Another key element in embracing divine timing is continuing to move forward in faith. Waiting on divine timing does not mean standing still. It means preparing for what you know is coming. Think of an expectant mother. She doesn't sit idly by, waiting for her child to arrive. She prepares, nurtures her body, and creates a space for the child to be welcomed. She trusts the process because she knows the due date will come. This is how you must approach your desires. Live in the energy of expectancy. Act as though what you desire is already on its way. Speak as though it is already done. Consider Thomas Edison, who didn't wait passively for his ideas to come to life. He kept experimenting and refining his work, knowing that his inventions were on the horizon. He believed that his effort would eventually yield results, and this faith in the process led to his success. Your faith too should be like Edison's, trusting that what you desire is coming, even if it hasn't appeared yet. Keep preparing for it and stay in alignment with your desires. Recognizing the signs and synchronicities is another important aspect of trusting divine timing. God is always speaking to you, always confirming that you are on the right path. Have you been seeing the same numbers, hearing the same messages, or feeling an unshakable knowing deep within? These are not coincidences. These are signs that divine timing is at work. A farmer doesn't doubt the harvest simply because he doesn't see the crops immediately. He notices the small signs, the sprouting of seedlings, the growth of leaves, the shifting of the seasons. Similarly, your desires are unfolding in their perfect time. Trust the process and recognize the signs that confirm your journey. Steve Jobs serves as an example of this trust in divine timing. Despite setbacks, including being ousted from his own company, Jobs remained faithful to his vision. He kept working and believed that the right moment would come. Years later, he returned to Apple, and through divine timing, he transformed the company into one of the most valuable in the world. The signs were always there, confirming that the journey he was on was exactly the one he was meant to follow. Living in gratitude is one of the most powerful tools to accelerate manifestation. When you thank God for what is already yours, even before you physically see it, you align yourself with abundance. Gratitude shifts you from the energy of waiting to the energy of receiving. It signals to the universe that you trust the process, that you believe in divine timing, and that you know everything is unfolding as it should. Take Tony Robbins as an example. Despite his difficult beginnings, Robbins always maintained an attitude of gratitude. Even when facing challenges, he would focus on the blessings in his life. This gratitude not only helped him overcome adversity, but also attracted abundance and success. Could your own gratitude be the key to unlocking your blessings in the same way? God's chosen ones. Have you ever felt the constant yearning for something more, something greater? But no matter how hard you try, it feels just out of reach. The shift from wanting to having is not just a change in thought. It's a deep, spiritual transformation that realigns you with your divine purpose. This shift is one that opens doors, breaks cycles of struggle and draws blessings toward you with an undeniable force. Many people believe that receiving is about waiting for something to arrive, believing that it's just a matter of time before what they desire manifests. But in reality, receiving is an act of faith. It's about stepping into the energy of what is already yours, even before it materializes in the physical world. Can you imagine stepping into the fullness of your desires right now? What if you already have everything you need, and all that's required is to step into that knowing? The real shift happens within you, not in the external world. For too long, people have been conditioned to think that their desires are separate from them, that they must work harder, wait longer, or prove their worth before they can receive. But this mindset is rooted in lack, and it keeps you in a cycle of longing. Every time you say, "I want this," or "I need that," you unknowingly reinforce the belief that what you desire is still out of reach. This sends a powerful message to your subconscious and to the universe itself that you're living in a state of deficiency. Have you found yourself stuck in this pattern of wanting, believing that your desires are still far off? Here's the breakthrough truth. The moment you shift your mindset to one of having, everything changes. No longer are you affirming what's missing. You begin to live as if you already possess everything you desire. Instead of waiting for things to change, you act with a spirit of gratitude, as if your blessings have already arrived. Imagine for a moment that everything you've longed for is already in your life. Can you live in that energy right now? This shift aligns you with the frequency of abundance. The universe, God, and all of creation respond to that frequency, drawing exactly what you are ready to receive. Jesus emphasized this in Matthew 21:22. If you believe, you will receive whatever you ask for in prayer. Notice, Jesus didn't say, "Believe that you will receive it one day." He said, "Believe that you already have it." This is not just a suggestion, it's a divine law. Your belief is the bridge that brings your desires into reality. How do you make this shift? It starts with awareness. Every time you catch yourself thinking, "I wish I had this," or "I hope one day this happens," pause and reframe it. Instead say, "I'm so grateful that this is already mine." Even if you can't physically see it yet, declare it as if it has already happened. This isn't about pretending, it's about aligning with a higher truth. The truth that your desires are already in motion, already being prepared, already on their way to you. Gratitude is one of the most powerful tools in this process. When you focus on what you already have, you send a message to the universe that you are abundant. You recognize the blessings around you, and in doing so, those blessings begin to multiply. Do you acknowledge the abundance already in your life? Jesus showed us the power of gratitude in Matthew 14:13-21, when he fed 5,000 people with 5 loaves and 2 fish. He didn't focus on what was missing. Instead, he gave thanks for what he had, and through that gratitude, a miracle unfolded. Could this same mindset of thankfulness be the key to unlocking your own miracles? Another key practice in shifting from wanting to having is visualization. Take time every day to see yourself already living in the reality you desire. Imagine yourself in the home you've prayed for. Feel the joy of the relationship you've longed for. Experience the peace of the financial abundance you seek. And most importantly, feel it as if it's happening now. Because when your emotions align with the reality of having, your subconscious mind begins to accept it as truth. And once your subconscious believes it, the universe must reflect that reality back to you. What would it feel like to already live in that reality? Can you see it and feel it now? But beyond thought and feeling, action is also required. This doesn't mean acting recklessly or spending money you don't have. It means embodying the energy of the person who has already received their blessing. How would you carry yourself if you already had the financial success you desire? How would you speak if the love you've prayed for was already in your life? How would you move through the world if you were already the person you dream of becoming? One real-life example is Tyler Perry, the famous filmmaker. He spent years living in his car, struggling to make his dreams a reality. Yet, he never gave up. Tyler Perry believed, even when others doubted, that his dreams of creating a successful entertainment empire would come to fruition. He acted in faith, even when the visible circumstances didn't align with his desires. Today, he's one of the most successful directors and producers in Hollywood, a living testament to the power of faith in action. What if you acted with the same certainty and boldness? Faith is the unshakable bridge between your desire and the reality you seek. Will you choose to cross that bridge today? Will you stand firm in your belief that God has already set your blessings in motion, and all that is required is your unwavering faith to bring them to life? What will you do today to align your actions with the certainty of your desires? The power to manifest your dreams is in your hands. Chosen ones, you are not meant to live in uncertainty, constantly hoping and waiting for your desires to materialize. You are meant to walk boldly in the reality of having them, fully embracing the gifts and blessings that God has already prepared for you. So I ask you, what would change in your life if you nurtured unshakable faith every single day? What if you refused to entertain doubt and instead carried yourself as though your prayers were already answered? Aligning with the frequency of abundance is the key to stepping into overflow and divine provision. There is a rhythm to the universe, a divine current that flows effortlessly, bringing blessings, opportunities, and breakthroughs to those who align with it. This is the frequency of abundance, a state of being where you no longer feel the need to strive, hope, or dwell on the idea that something is missing. Instead, you are receiving, attracting, and allowing with grace and certainty. Many people misunderstand abundance. They think of it as something external, more money, better opportunities, a fulfilling relationship. But abundance is not merely about accumulating things. It is a state of being, an energetic alignment with the infinite provision of God. The moment you awaken to this truth, you realize that abundance is already within you, waiting to be embraced, waiting to flow into your life in tangible ways. Everything carries a frequency, and your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs are no exception. They carry a certain frequency, much like a song playing on the radio. When you are tuned into the frequency of lack, you will continue to experience scarcity, obstacles, delays, and frustrations. Why? Because your energy is resonating with the absence of what you desire. But when you shift your focus to the frequency of abundance, everything changes. You begin to think as if your blessings are already yours, feel as if your desires have already manifested, and act as if your prayers have already been answered. Suddenly, the barriers that once seemed unmovable begin to dissolve. Closed doors start swinging open, and the opportunities you once chased start appearing effortlessly in your path. Jesus demonstrated this powerful principle in John 6:9-13 when he fed the 5,000. Instead of focusing on what was missing, we don't have enough food, he took what was available, gave thanks for it, and multiplied what was already present. Gratitude was the key that unlocked abundance. This same divine principle applies to your life. When you focus on what is already present and cultivate gratitude for what you have, rather than fixating on what is missing, you expand your capacity to receive more. Consider the Israelites in the wilderness. They were surrounded by supernatural provision, manna falling from heaven, water flowing from rocks. Yet, because they were fixated on what they lacked, they remained stuck in a cycle of complaint and scarcity. Their mindset kept them wandering for 40 years, despite the fact that the promised land was already prepared for them. What if the abundance you are seeking is already set aside for you, but your perspective is keeping you from seeing it? Could it be that the shift you need isn't in your external circumstances, but in your internal alignment? What if simply shifting your mindset could unlock the doors of abundance that have always been waiting for you? The Bible tells us in Proverbs 18:21, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit." The words you speak shape your reality. If you constantly affirm, "I need more money," or "I wish I had a better job," you are reinforcing lack. But when you begin to declare, "I am grateful for the financial blessings flowing into my life," or "I am walking into new opportunities that align with my purpose," you shift your frequency to abundance. You begin to speak as if your desires are already on their way. Faith is not about waiting for proof. Faith is about walking as if the promise has already been fulfilled. This is why Jesus said in Mark 11:24, "Whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours." Notice, he didn't say, "Believe that you might receive it someday." He said, "Believe that you have received it." The moment you internalize this truth, you stop asking, "When will my blessing come?" and start declaring, "It is already mine." God has already prepared everything you need. Now, it's time to step into the certainty that it is already yours. How would your life change if you walked in that certainty today? How would you think, feel, and act if you knew that every prayer you've spoken has already been answered, every desire already fulfilled? This is your time to step into the reality of abundance. Your emotions act as powerful signals that either draw blessings toward you or push them away. High-frequency emotions like joy, gratitude, and excitement align you with abundance, helping you to attract the blessings you've prayed for. Have you noticed how your emotions can shift the energy around you? When you focus on these positive emotions, you create an atmosphere where blessings are drawn to you. One of the most powerful ways to align with abundance is by beginning your day with gratitude. When you wake up in the morning and start your day by saying, "Thank you, God, for my overflowing blessings," you are setting a powerful tone for what will unfold. Even before you see the evidence of your desires manifesting, you are already aligning yourself with the frequency that allows them to materialize. Can you imagine how different your day would feel if you woke up with gratitude in your heart, expecting blessings instead of waiting for them? Visualization is another key in this process. Close your eyes and imagine yourself already living in the reality you desire. Picture the home you've prayed for, the relationships you long for, and the financial freedom you seek. But don't just see it, feel it. Let the emotions flood over you as if it has already happened. Feel the excitement of stepping into that new opportunity. Feel the peace of having all your needs met. When you do this, your subconscious mind begins to accept abundance as your new normal, and the universe responds in turn. How would it feel to truly believe that your desires are already on their way to you? But visualization alone isn't enough. There must also be action. Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth. Proverbs 10:4. You can't just sit back and hope for abundance. You must act as though it's already yours. If you believe for financial increase, start managing your money as though you are already prosperous. If you're believing for love, start treating yourself as though you're already in a fulfilling relationship. If you're believing for success, carry yourself with the confidence of someone who is already thriving. Are you ready to act in alignment with your desires and step into the abundant life you are meant for? Look at Noah, who was given the promise of a flood. God told him to prepare for the rain, yet there was no sign of it. But Noah didn't wait for proof. He built the ark anyway. He prepared as if the promise had already been fulfilled. That is the mindset of abundance. Faith doesn't wait for the circumstances to change before acting. Do you have the faith to take bold steps, even when there's no visible evidence? The final step in aligning with abundance is releasing fear, doubt, and feelings of unworthiness. Many people unknowingly block their blessings because deep down they don't feel worthy to receive them. They carry old programming, past failures, and limiting beliefs that tell them they're not deserving of financial freedom, love, or success. But God's promises are not limited by your past. You are His chosen one, meant to live in overflow. When you shift into the frequency of abundance, you no longer chase blessings, they chase you. You begin to notice synchronicities, divine encounters, and unexpected opportunities, confirming you are on the right path. What if the very blessings you've been seeking have already been set aside for you? What if all that's left is to shift your mindset to receive them? What once felt impossible will now feel inevitable, and what used to be a struggle will begin to come effortlessly. Abundance is not something you earn, force, or strive for. It is something you align with, something you allow. Are you ready to stop chasing and start receiving? The Bible says in Proverbs 18:21, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit." Your words shape your reality. If you speak of lack, you will experience lack. But when you declare abundance, you align with it. Are your words aligning with the life you want to live? Releasing resistance is crucial in this process. The journey from wanting to having isn't just about shifting your mindset. It's about releasing the invisible resistance that may be standing in the way of your blessings. Resistance can take many forms: doubt, fear, impatience, or the desperate need to control how and when your desires will unfold. Have you ever felt like you were trying to force things to happen? Does it feel like your blessings are stalled, just out of reach? Resistance is like trying to force a river to flow faster. The river already knows the best path to take. When we try to control how and when things should unfold, we block the natural flow of blessings. Consider Sarah in the Bible. God promised Abraham a child, but after many years of waiting, Sarah's impatience led her to take matters into her own hands. She encouraged Abraham to have a child with Hagar, believing that this was the only way to fulfill God's promise. But this attempt to control the outcome led to conflict, heartbreak, and complications. What if Sarah had trusted in God's divine timing instead of forcing the outcome? How often do we try to speed up our own manifestations because waiting feels unbearable? Surrendering doesn't mean you stop wanting your desires. It doesn't mean you become passive. It means you release the need to control every detail, trusting that God is orchestrating everything in ways beyond what you can see. Jesus spoke about this in Matthew 6:34. "Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own." This verse is a reminder that divine timing is always at work. Are you willing to trust that God is unfolding everything for your highest good, even when you can't see the full picture? Imagine waking up each day with the peace that comes from knowing everything is aligning perfectly for you. Imagine moving through life without anxiety, without questioning when your desires will manifest, with the deep assurance that everything is already unfolding for your highest good. Surrendering is an act of profound trust. It allows you to breathe freely and rest in the knowing that the universe is already aligning the perfect circumstances for you. Are you ready to surrender and trust in God's perfect timing for your life? How do we move past resistance and step into flow? It all starts with understanding and recognizing where resistance exists in our lives. Resistance often shows up in subtle ways, disguised as frustration, a tight grip on timing, or the fear that our desires will never come to pass. It may feel logical to think, "I have to take control because if I don't, nothing will happen." But the truth is that the more we try to force things, the more we push our blessings away. Have you ever felt that tension between wanting something and trying to force it to happen? Perhaps it's time to pause and reflect. What if, by releasing control, you were actually making space for your blessings to come in the most perfect way? One powerful way to release resistance is through mindfulness and meditation. These practices quiet the mind and allow space for divine guidance to enter. In stillness, you can feel the presence of something greater at work, moving you forward. You stop needing to figure everything out and instead trust that you are already being guided. This is why Jesus withdrew to pray before performing miracles. He surrendered before acting. Can you imagine how much more peaceful your life would be if you practiced surrender in this way, trusting that divine timing is always in motion? Another key practice in releasing resistance is detachment. Detachment does not mean you stop caring about your dreams. It simply means you release the emotional attachment to the outcome. When you are overly attached to how something should manifest, you create fear and resistance around not getting it, which delays your blessings. But when you detach, you trust that what is meant for you will come in the most perfect way. The universe has infinite ways to bring your desires into reality. Have you considered that the path you're clinging to may not be the one that will bring your blessings? Could it be that letting go of your control could open you to an even better way? Consider the story of the Israelites in the wilderness. God had promised them a land flowing with milk and honey, yet they couldn't release their fears and kept clinging to the familiar struggles of Egypt. As a result, what could have been an 11-day trip turned into 40 years simply because they resisted trusting in God's provision. What if your resistance is delaying your blessings? What if what you desire is already set in motion, but your need for control is slowing it down? When you release resistance, things begin to unfold effortlessly. Opportunities appear unexpectedly. Doors open in ways you never anticipated. Have you ever noticed that when you stop stressing about something, the solution suddenly appears? That's surrender in action, trusting the process without forcing the outcome. So, what does surrender look like in daily life? It's speaking your desires with faith and then going about your day with trust. It's taking inspired action but leaving the outcome in God's hands. It's seeing delays as divine protection rather than punishment. And it's embracing uncertainty, knowing that everything is aligning for your highest good. Are you ready to surrender and trust the divine timing of your blessings? Chosen ones, surrender is not about losing control. It's about realizing that you never had to control everything in the first place. It's stepping into the ultimate trust that God, the creator of the universe, has already made a way for you. When you let go, when you stop resisting, you make space for miracles beyond what you ever imagined. Can you imagine the miracles that could unfold in your life if you fully embraced surrender and trust? Now, imagine living in the state of having. Picture a life where you no longer chase after your desires, where you no longer question if your dreams will come true, and where the burden of uncertainty is no longer weighing you down. Instead, you move with unshakable faith, carrying the deep, unwavering knowing that everything you seek is already yours. This is what it means to live in the state of having, to shift from hoping and waiting to embodying and receiving. This transformation isn't just about changing the way you think, it's about changing the way you exist. It's stepping into the truth that you were not meant to live in lack, that you were not created to struggle or fight for your blessings. You were chosen to walk in divine abundance. You are meant to experience love, prosperity, joy, and fulfillment as your birthright. Have you fully embraced this truth about yourself? So, how do you reach this state? How do you live in the feeling of already having when your physical reality may still show signs of lack? Spiritual maturity and divine wisdom become essential at this point. You must understand that everything manifests in the spiritual realm first, before appearing in the physical. The moment you align with your already existing blessings, the universe begins to rearrange circumstances to bring them into form. Do you believe that your desires already exist in the spiritual realm, waiting to manifest in your life? Consider the story of David before he became king. When Samuel anointed him, David was still just a young shepherd boy. His circumstances didn't change overnight, and he didn't immediately step into the throne. But something within him had shifted. He carried himself as a king long before the world recognized him as one. This is the essence of living in the state of having, to walk as if the promise is already fulfilled. David didn't chase after the throne, nor did he demand that the promise come faster. Instead, he trusted God's timing and prepared himself. When the moment came for him to rise, he didn't have to force his way into his destiny, it came to him. Are you willing to trust the timing of your blessings as David did? Can you live as though the promise is already fulfilled, even if your current circumstances don't show it yet? The blessings you desire are already on their way. Step into your divine inheritance and live in the fullness of what God has promised you. God's chosen ones, aligning with the energy of having, is the key to unlocking the life you've always desired. Instead of forcing doors open, you allow them to swing wide effortlessly. Instead of anxiously striving, you become a magnet for divine opportunities. This is the power of stepping into the state of having, and it's about much more than just personal gain. It's about embracing your divine role as a co-creator with God. When you shift into this state, you stop begging for blessings. Instead, you partner with the divine flow to bring them into existence. You begin to understand that your faith, energy, and alignment shape the reality around you, transforming your life from one of constant striving to one of divine ease. Jesus himself demonstrated this truth. When he spoke things into being, commanded healing, multiplied provision, and calmed storms with just his words, he didn't wait for external proof. He declared it as already done. This is the power you hold as well. When you truly believe that your desires are already on their way, you stop questioning and start thanking. You stop asking, when will it happen? And begin affirming, it is already happening. You stop worrying about the how and when, and instead rest in the certainty that God's timing is perfect. Romans 4:17 reminds us, God calls into being things that were not. This means that even if something has not yet manifested in your reality, it is already real in the spiritual realm. Your job is not to force it. Your job is to align with it, to carry yourself as if it has already arrived, because in truth, it has. When you fully step into this state, a profound peace washes over you. You are no longer controlled by external circumstances. You do not panic over delays, and you do not allow temporary setbacks to shake your confidence. You understand that every perceived obstacle is simply part of the process, and that a divine rearrangement is leading you to something even greater. Even what seems like a detour is actually divine direction. Consider the story of the widow in 2 Kings 4. She found herself in desperate need, drowning in debt and fearful of losing everything. But instead of focusing on what she lacked, she listened to the prophet Elisha, who asked her, "What do you have in your house?" At first, she believed she had nothing, just a small jar of oil. But through faith and divine instruction, that small jar became more than enough. As she poured, the oil kept flowing, filling every vessel until she had an overflow. This is a powerful lesson. What you have right now is already enough for your breakthrough. The key is not in what you lack, but in how you perceive what you already have. When you live in the state of having, you stop saying, "I don't have enough," and instead declare, "God has already provided." You stop seeing limits and start seeing divine opportunities. This state of having also transforms your relationship with others. You no longer operate from jealousy, competition, or comparison. You understand that abundance is infinite. Someone else's success does not take away from yours. Instead, Their blessings become proof that divine overflow is active, and your turn is already secured. When you celebrate others, you magnify the energy of abundance in your own life. As you continue to embody this truth, you will notice how effortlessly things begin to shift. Opportunities that once seemed impossible will appear out of nowhere. The right people, the right resources, the right moments will align without force, without struggle, without resistance. You will no longer feel the need to chase. You will attract effortlessly. This is not magic, it is divine law. The Lord will open the heavens, the storehouse of his bounty, to send rain on your land in season and to bless all the work of your hands. Deuteronomy 28:12. Abundance is not something you must fight for, it is something you allow, something you receive, something you become. So now, chosen one, ask yourself, what would change in your life if you fully embraced the truth that your blessings are already yours? How would you think, feel, and act if you walked in the certainty that what you seek is not coming, but is already here? You are no longer the person who waits in uncertainty, questioning whether your desires will ever come to pass. You have stepped into a higher knowing, a deeper alignment, a powerful truth. You are already living in abundance. The shift has taken place within you. No longer are you bound by fear, doubt, or impatience. You now understand that everything you seek is not separate from you. It has always been within your reach, waiting for you to claim it. This journey from wanting to having has not merely been about changing your thoughts. It has been about changing your entire way of being. You have learned to desire without lack. You have learned to believe without doubt. You have learned to trust without fear. You have learned to surrender without resistance. You have embraced the power of faith, understanding that what is unseen is far more real than what is seen. You have attuned yourself to the frequency of abundance, no longer hoping for miracles, but living as though they're already unfolding. You're not waiting for divine blessings, you're already walking in them. You're not hoping for love, wealth, success, or fulfillment. You're already embodying them. The moment you chose to align with the state of having, you activated a new reality. A reality where opportunities flow to you effortlessly, where obstacles turn into stepping stones, and where your faith moves mountains before your very eyes. And now, as you continue on this path, let this be your declaration. I am no longer in a state of waiting, I am in a state of receiving. I am no longer asking if my desires will come. I know they are already mine. I walk with confidence, I trust divine timing, and I embrace the unfolding of my greatest blessings. Everything meant for me is already finding its way to me. I am living in the fullness of my divine inheritance, and nothing can take away what has already been written for me. As you hold this truth in your heart, watch as your external world shifts to reflect it. Watch as doors open. Watch as miracles unfold. Watch as the blessings you once thought were distant become part of your daily reality. Watch as you move through life, not as someone who is striving, but as someone who is already fulfilled. The universe has heard you. The blessings have been released. You are already abundant. You are already chosen. You are already complete. Now that you know your blessings are already yours, what will you do differently? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your testimony is waiting to be written. As you take this powerful message to heart, remember that the journey from wanting to having is not a mere dream. It's a divine reality waiting for you to step into. You are a child of God, chosen for a life of abundance and greatness. The secret to unlocking this blessing is not just in hoping, but in believing with all your heart that God has already prepared everything you need. When you align your faith with His promises, the transformation from lack to abundance is not only possible, but inevitable. This is the time for you to walk boldly in the understanding that what you desire has already been made available to you. Trust in the process, stay focused on His word, and take action with confidence, knowing that God is working behind the scenes on your behalf. This powerful shift from wanting to having begins with your faith and your willingness to move forward step by step, with God leading the way. If this message has inspired you and touched your heart, I invite you to support this channel through Super Thanks. Your donations, no matter the amount, help us continue to share these life-changing teachings and prayers with the world. However, whether or not you decide to donate, I am deeply grateful for your presence, your time, and your engagement. Your support means the world to us. Please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment sharing how this message has impacted you. Your feedback and thoughts are a blessing, and feel free to share this video with those who may need to hear it as well. May the blessings of the Lord overflow in your life today, and may you continue to walk in His divine favor and abundance. Remember, you are God's chosen one, and this is just the beginning of the incredible things He has in store for you. Stay blessed.